I mean, Donald Trump is quite a phenomenal man, isn't he? I mean, apart from the fact that he's nearly 80, people have been trying to say that he's, you know, cognitively not as good as he used to be. I don't believe that. Let's not forget, you know, not only once was somebody trying to kill him, who actually did manage to get a bullet close enough to his head that could have done so, clipped his ear, but then they arrested another guy who was trying to kill him in Florida a few weeks later. Let's talk to LaDona Harvey, because this has been quite a campaign. LaDona, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
I mean, when we started all this, I dread to think how long ago it was. I think it was probably last year. You know, Joe Biden was running against Donald Trump. Joe Biden was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Joe Biden was perfectly fine and dandy, even as early as kind of the spring of this year, just before the Democratic National Convention. You know, Keir Starmer came over before he was Prime Minister to report that, oh yeah, Joe Biden's really great. He's in great form. Fantastic. Don't worry, he's definitely going to run. And then, you know, he wasn't.
Right. He was fine up until it was just so patently aware to everybody during the debate that he absolutely was not fine. And that's no slam on Mr. Biden. He is an older gentleman. I, you know, take care of my father who has Alzheimer's. Right. I don't know if Joe Biden has Alzheimer's, but he is definitely showing decline, and he's been showing decline for a long time. And if you want to, you know part of the reason that people are so enamored by Donald Trump, it's because, number one, he's virtually the same age and does not show that decline, right. But he is the opposite of that decline, and nobody has to lie for him and say, oh, no, he's fine. He is fine cognitively. Joe Biden hasn't been for a long time, and the Democrats have lied, and that has turned a lot of people off.
Right. And also, because of the way the whole thing was done, Kamala Harris kind of inherited the crown, if you like, to be the candidate. Right. There was no primary. I know a lot of people who vote Democrat were not happy about that. They were not given a choice. They were not given any kind of, you know, menu of possible candidates who could possibly beat Donald Trump, because there might have been others who would have had a better chance of beating him than Kamala Harris.
Well, I think there's every chance that that's true. You know, in the first round, this is not her first run for president. Remember, she was running for the nomination before and did not perform well in the debates. That she does not do well when she is one-on-one having to answer questions. She's very much an empty suit. And there are a lot of Democrats who are not happy with Harris being the empty suit at the top of the ticket.
Right. And so last night she was wheeling out Oprah Winfrey, Lady Gaga, you know, Barbara Streisand's on her case. You know, Harrison Ford put out a message yesterday. You know, she's got Hollywood, but who cares, right?
Yeah, I don't think that voters really do care. I mean, you know, if you're a tween or a late teenager, you probably care about Taylor Swift and how she says how to vote. But the fact that you're probably not going to bother to pick up a ballot and actually vote it might have something to do with that not mattering. Right. Americans vote their conscience. They vote for the person that they think is going to come closest to what it is that they want. Yeah. I think all voters know we're not getting everything that we want. We're not getting a perfect candidate. It's not happening. But some are less perfect than others. And for those who despise Kamala Harris or don't like the way that this has played out, those people have turned to Donald Trump.
Right. Well, I mean, I've heard Donald Trump being interviewed, and he's talked about tariffs. He's talked about putting tariffs on car manufacturers. If they want to build cars in Mexico and sell them into America, he's going to hit them with a tax. If they want to build the same cars in America, he's going to let them do it for a lot less money. He's talked about deporting mass numbers of illegal immigrants. He's talked about clamping down on the migration problem that you've got down on the southwestern border there with Mexico. You know, we sort of know what he's talking about. He's talked about solving the war in Ukraine. He's talked about sorting out the Middle East and Iran. You know, Kamala Harris doesn't seem to have any kind of policies that we can even discuss, does she?
Not that she's been really forward with.
No.
When she is pressed on immigration, she says, oh, the Republicans, you know, Donald Trump called Republicans in Congress, had them nix an immigration deal. It's like, yeah, but you had 3 years before that when we had massive numbers of people coming across our border that you did nothing. Right. It's, you know, nothing substantive comes out of her mouth, and that's a problem. It is a problem for Democrats. It's a problem for Kamala Harris. All she says is, I'm going to be a president for all Americans. Well, I don't know what that means.
No, nobody does. Let's have a look at her. Let's have a look at her latest election ad and see what that says. Maybe we've got some clues out of this.
And I pledge to be a president for all Americans. Now I'm asking for your vote, because as president, I will get up every day and fight for the American people.
So she's going to get up every day. That's good. I suppose that beats Joe Biden into a cocked hat, doesn't it?
Well, cheers.
Yeah, I'm also going to get up every day because I have to earn enough money to look after myself and my family. That's kind of what everybody does.
It's why I drink tea in the large container, because I need all of the caffeine and rage I can get to get through this election season. But thanks, Kamala, for you getting up. Yeah, that's nice.
And isn't it great? It was almost as if we planned that, where you just said, you know, she wants to be a president for all Americans, and she literally just came out and said it. And I mean, the guy Waltz, I'm afraid, is just a clown, isn't he? I mean, this is a guy who I don't think. I mean, he was governor of Minnesota, but I mean, I don't think he'd win a tiddlywink competition, would he? I mean, he's just ridiculous.
You know, I'm not sure. The good news is vice presidential candidates, for the most part, unless you're Joe Biden, don't really matter all that much.
Well, you say really that, but look what's happened to her.
Well, exactly. In the larger scheme of things, generally they don't matter all that much. I don't think that J.D. Vance has added or subtracted really anything from Donald Trump's ticket. He's the powerhouse behind it. I don't know that Tim Walz has made a difference in Kamala Harris's campaign.
No. Whereas I think J.D. Vance actually has made a bit of a difference for Trump, because I think when Trump was having a little difficulty dealing with Kamala and it was clear that he didn't know quite how to approach it, I think he's broached that now. I think he's worked it out. But Vance was very good in that kind of intervening period, going out there and just getting the message across, I think.
Well, they are supposed to be your attack dog, basically. You know, they say the ugly things that you don't have to in order to get you elected. Right. And then you have that plausible deniability, and you've got that distance that you can go, oh, well, that's my vice presidential candidate. I don't agree with everything that they say.
No, quite.
But the fact that they said it makes me extremely happy.
Exactly. And we're kicking off tonight the show at 1 a.m., going through the night, watching what happens. I'm hoping and thinking that you may be on it. What are we looking out for, first of all, you know, at that kind of time of night, which is going to be, I guess, 8 o'clock Eastern, you know, 5 p.m. in California? What are we looking for at that point?
So at that point, you know, we're getting close to the polls closing, and the pollsters will have been talking to people after they voted to see, you know, if they can get kind of an idea of how the election is going. Right at between 7 and 8 o'clock is generally when the polls close. It just depends on the state that you're in. When those polls close, all of the early votes will then be counted. So we will have a good idea of how the early vote is going to go. But how does that weigh against the numbers that are coming in on election day? That's the little pile of votes that we really care about, just to see, you know, is this going to put somebody over the top or is it not?
Absolutely fascinating times. LaDona, thanks very much indeed. We'll talk to you later on tonight on the show.